I brought $1 million in cash to the mountain village to buy honey. But just as we were about to load the trucks, the beekeepers raised the price together. They went back on every price we had agreed on. They even swore they would let it rot in the barrels before selling it to me. Mr. Grant, the market rate is $80 a pound now, but your purchase price is only $30 a pound. That is highway robbery. I stared in disbelief at this young man I had never seen before. Mayor Hill quickly stepped forward to explain. Mr. Grant, this is Aunt Martha's son-in-law, Ethan Cole. He is an economic-savvy college graduate. Today, he will speak for everyone in these talks. I watched the familiar beekeepers hiding behind Ethan Cole. Their eyes kept darting away. I realized this was not as simple as it looked. Talk. The signed contract was already in place. The price was already fixed. What was left to discuss? Still, I kept a smile on my face. We are short on time. Let us load the trucks first. After that, we can sit down and talk everything through. Wait. Just then, Aunt Martha rushed out of the crowd. She spread her arms and blocked the honey barrels. Let's see who dares touch my honey. Aunt Martha, what is this supposed to mean? We signed a contract. It is in black and white. Delivery is today. Payment is in cash. Are you trying to breach the contract? Ethan Cole, standing nearby, suddenly gave a sneer. Don't wave that worthless piece of paper around to scare honest people. This is a market economy, so we follow market rules. Then he turned toward the beekeepers. Tell him, everyone, what is honey selling for now? Online, it is already selling for over $80 a pound. Some are even selling it for $100. One beekeeper pulled out his phone. He showed off the price screenshots. Ethan Cole turned back to me with a mocking look. You hear that? Mr. Grant, with the price you are offering, you are being more than a little unfair, don't you think? I was furious, but I still explained it to him patiently. Mr. Cole, that is not how the numbers work. First, that is the retail price. It is not the purchase price. Second, business depends on honoring contracts. A month ago, when no one would buy your honey, I was the one who guaranteed a floor price. Back then, why did none of you talk about the market economy and for the honey from your village, so it could be transported out properly? I pointed at the road beneath our feet. I spent $200,000 repairing this road, and those beehives were gifts from me. If we are talking about market economics, shouldn't those expenses count as costs, too? You did that by choice. Who begged you to fix the road? You wanted to repair it yourself. That makes it your sunk cost. What does that have to do with our honey price? I looked at Aunt Martha in surprise. 1 month ago, she had been a plain farm woman who only knew how to say, thank you, boss. Now she could suddenly spit out the term, sunk cost. An economics term like that. Then I looked coldly at Ethan Cole. You taught her that phrase, didn't you? I was only teaching the villagers some basic knowledge, so they would not get cheated by crooked merchants, and then thank the crook for robbing them. Mr. Grant, don't hide behind that road either. Once the road was fixed, your trucks could come and go more easily too, couldn't they? At the end of the day, it served you. Enough talk. If the honey is still $30 a pound, you are not taking a single pound. If you want to load it, pay today's market rate. Then how much do you want? Out of respect for you fixing the road, we will not ask for $80. Ethan Cole raised one hand and waved it in front of me. 50 pound. Not a cent less. 50. The average wholesale price for grade A honey is only $35 to $38 a pound right now. And you open your mouths and demand $50. This is extortion. Call it whatever you want. The honey is in our hands, either way. If you have 15 heavy trucks, go back empty. You will lose tens of thousands at least. Then add damages for breach of contract. Oh, wait. Your contract itself is clearly unfair. Even if this goes to court, we might not lose. He leaned closer to me. His voice dropped low. Mr. Grant, take this honey back and package it nicely. You could sell it for $120 with ease. Give us a small cut of the profit. That's not too much to ask, is it? A man should not be too greedy. Otherwise, he might choke on it. I looked at Ethan Cole's scheming face. Then I turned to David Hill. Mayor Hill, do you also share this same opinion? Mr. Grant, everyone has it hard, and the market really has gone up. Please, think of it as an act of kindness. For you, $50 a pound only means earning a little less, doesn't it? Earning a little less. I had already prepared a price of $38 a pound. That was my consideration for the cold wave. It was my sincerity. But now, facing these troublemakers who mistook my kindness for weakness, who took everything I did for granted, my sincerity had been wasted on ungrateful wolves. The more I thought about it, the more my anger rose. But in the end, I held it back. I am a businessman. I have to calculate the financial ledger, and the emotional ledger too. If I turned on them now, this batch of honey would indeed be a waste. So I took a deep breath. I took the contract from my suit pocket. 50 is absolutely impossible. But considering that the cold wave has affected you all, and your emotions are unsettled, I can take one step back. Ethan Cole's eyes lit up. He thought I had backed down. I am not an unreasonable man. $38 a pound. That is the highest price I can offer now. The extra $8 a pound is my way of paying a premium to earn trust. Load the trucks now. I will settle in cash. In the market, at that time, that was absolutely a top-tier purchase price. I thought I had given them an easy way out. If they had even a little sense, they should have taken the off-ramp. But I had underestimated human greed. $38. Are you tossing coins at beggars? Ethan already said. This honey is worth $80 a pound. And you offer us $38. That is heartless. Mr. Grant, you are treating us like fools. 5, not a $3. If you are not sincere, then please go back where you came from. We will keep this honey and sell it through live streams ourselves. When it sells for $100 a pound, do not come crying with envy. That's right. We will sell it ourselves. Heartless profiteer. Get out of Honeyfield village. The beekeepers had been whipped into a frenzy. Some even started shoving my drivers. I looked at those twisted, furious faces. Suddenly, I felt the cash in the trunk was almost laughable. In the past, because the mountain road was so difficult, the local honey sat, unsold year after year. At best, it could only fetch $15 a pound. After I learned what was happening, I paid out of pocket to repair the road. I also offered a generous price of $30 a pound, and I promised that, whether it was grade A, honey, or hunting, a slightly lower quality, I would buy it all, at that same price. Considering transport loss and freshness issues with honey, I specially ordered a batch of food-grade HDPE barrels. I also had hundreds of beehives, custom-made with temperature controls and monitoring systems. Then the first shipped them to the village in advance and gave them away. Unexpectedly, the whole country was hit by a rare late spring cold snap. A brutal, cold wave. Northern nectar bases suffered widespread frost damage. Several major honey-producing regions in the south were also hit by weeks of rain, cutting their output in half. But Honeyfield village had a special location. It sat in a sheltered mountain microclimate between two ridges. Mountains surrounded it on every side. They blocked the cold air. The nectar plants did not freeze. Instead, because there was less rain, the nectar became even more concentrated. By then, the market price had risen to $35 a pound, so I made a decision. I raised my offer. I told the finance team to prepare cash at $38 a pound. Mr. Grant, wasn't the contract for $30? If we raise it now, we will earn hundreds of thousands less. Think long term. This is paying a premium to earn trust. Let them know they will not lose by working with Mr. Grant. I thought sincerity could earn sincerity in return. In the end, I had been arrogant. Fine. Then sell it yourselves. I nodded. I slowly folded the contract in my hand. Then I put it back in my pocket. I turned to face all the drivers. There was no anger left on my face. Only a chilling calm. Everyone, get in your trucks. Turn around. We're going back to the city. Charlie froze for a second. The radio in his hand almost slipped. Boss, are we really leaving? That is 15 heavy trucks. We have already burned a lot of fuel. How about we talk to them again? Offer $40. This honey really is good stuff. Once we haul it back, we can turn it into cash. No more talking. Charlie, remember this. In business, lost money can be earned back. But if you let someone walk all over you and still smile for them, you will never stand tall again. Carry out the order. Yes, sir. Everyone, pull out. Back to the city. This scene clearly took everyone by surprise. They had expected me to beg, to bargain, to act like a cornered snake with no way out, and finally accept that absurd $50 a pound price. After all, who would willingly throw away hundreds of thousands spent on road repairs? Ethan Cole rushed over, furious and humiliated. He pointed right in my face. Victor, Grant, don't you dare leave. If you walk away today, then even if you beg on your knees later, we still won't sell to you. I stopped walking. Then, I turned around. I looked at him like a pathetic little clown. Everyone, remember what you said today. Whether I wronged you, or you betrayed me. Heaven is watching. Stop using heaven to scare people. We are protecting our own rights. You are the one with a rotten heart. Fine. Since you think live streams can sell it for $100 a pound, I wish you all a fortune. A windfall this huge is more than a man like me is blessed enough to take. So, keep it and enjoy it yourselves. With that, I got into the car without looking back. The moment the convoy vanished through the mountain pass, Honeyfield village erupted in cheers like never before. I had barely left when Ethan Cole jumped onto the old millstone in the village council yard. Folks, did you see that? That is the capitalist's paper tiger. He lost his nerve because he knows he can't profit off our hard-earned money anymore. We won. Ethan, you're incredible. You even cursed that big boss into running away. Exactly. Our honey is this good. Why worry about selling it? Listen to Ethan. We will start live stream selling. If not $100, then at least $80 a pound. That afternoon, Honeyfield village felt like it was celebrating New Year. They were lost in the frenzy of beating Big Capital. But they had no idea that what they had cut off with their own hands was the only link between that sealed-off mountain village and modern commerce. The only lifeline. They thought they had driven away a blood-sucking wolf. They never realized the one they had chased off was the only one willing to help them in their hour of need. After I returned to the company, I had the chief financial officer take that $1 million in cash and deposit it back into the bank. Boss, we spent $200,000 repairing the road, plus the cold chain deposit and the money advance for the beehives. Altogether, that's almost $400,000. How are we supposed to fill that hole? Call it tuition. Also, notify the legal department. Prepare to sue every contracted farmer in Honeyfield village for a breach of contract. We probably won't recover the money, but I want their credit records to carry a permanent black mark. Understood. What about the honey shortage? Contact a base near Cloudford. The price may be higher, but they have more than enough supply. It's fine if we make a little less. We cannot lose our credibility. After arranging the work, I opened my phone. I saw that Ethan Cole had registered on a short video app with a new account. It was called Ethan the Beekeeper. He had posted a new video. College graduate returns home to start a business, bringing you the pure mountain flavor of the deep hills. Cut out the middleman. First, Livestream tonight. When I tapped into the Livestream room, there were already 200 or 300 people inside. I saw him standing in Aunt Martha's yard. Behind him, dozens of the blue storage barrels I had sent were piled up. The lighting was dim. The picture was blurry. Ethan Cole wore that ill-fitting suit. He was shouting carnival style into the camera at the top of his lungs. Folks, see this. This is all natural. Pollution-free, raw mountain, honey. Ethan's got a special deal for you today. Not 998美元. Not 198美元. Just $88 a pound. Free shipping to your door. He was holding a ladle I had originally cut for sampling. He scooped up a spoonful of honey and showed off that thick ribboning texture on camera. Look at that color and quality. Look at that texture. If you know good honey, type 1 want some in the chat. Aunt Martha and a few other women stood behind him like background props. Their smiles were stiff and forced. They held up cardboard signs they had found somewhere. On them, someone had scrolled all natural in crooked letters. I glanced at the comments. 88. That's expensive. Supermarket honey only costs 40. Do you even know what you're talking about? Supermarket honey is different. This is raw mountain honey. Supermarket honey. That's just sugar water. Does the host have a food business license? Do you have a food production code? Do you have a food production code? What shipping service are you using? Do you have a food production code? What does the packaging look like? We grow and sell our own farm products. The government supports it. We do not need all that extra paperwork. And shipping is free, nationwide, safe, and guaranteed. At that point, I closed the live stream. I let out a cold laugh. Ignorance makes people fearless. They thought live stream selling meant yelling a few lines at a phone and waiting for the money to roll in. But they did not know that, without brand backing, the cost of earning trust is enormous. What they knew, even less, was that, for a liquid product like honey, the damage rate in shipping is terrifying. Without professional, shock-absorbing air columns and custom foam shipping boxers, 5 out of 10 bottles can break in transit. Worst of all, they did not have a food production permit. Small-scaled, grow it and sell it yourself business, even though some policies allowed it. Once they went on the platform and got targeted by professional complaint hunters, that would be a total disaster. And Ethan had set the price at $88 a pound. At that price point, customers have extremely high expectations for packaging and shipping service. They were using the most basic plastic bottles and trying to sell them at luxury goods prices. It was pure fantasy. Sure enough, the problems came fast. On the first day of the live stream, using the gimmick of a college graduate returning home and shares through their social media circles, they really did sell a few hundred orders. Aunt Martha and the others were thrilled. They stayed up all night using plastic water bottles and old sauce jars to portion out the honey, then stuffed some newspaper around them and shipped them in cardboard boxers. Just shipping alone cost $12 per order. Ethan had promised to double their profit after deducting shipping and packaging costs. The profit shrank a lot, but either way, selling at $88 a pound, they still netted over $70. That was still much higher than my $38 offer. The beekeepers were full of confidence. They even started mocking me, but the good times did not last. A few days later, the first batch reached the customers. That was when the disaster began. Ethan, what the hell is going on? This phone will not stop ringing. It is all angry customers. Ethan was lying on the farmhouse bed, dreaming of getting rich. He took the phone with irritation and looked at it, and his face went white at once. It was nothing but refund requests and bad reviews. Some customers complained about poor packaging and honey leakage. Some questioned the quality of the honey, and some wanted compensation too. Ethan fumbled for an explanation. Hi there. That was a shipping accident. Fresh raw honey can have a slight tang. But no one cared about his explanation. The platform stepped in, because the complaint rate was too high, and he could not provide proper food distribution credentials. Ethan the Beekeeper account was banned outright. His seller deposit was frozen. Worse still, the customers who received damaged packages did not just demand refunds. They also demanded compensation for stained clothes and floors. In just 1 week, of the over 300 orders sold, the return rate reached 90%. The remaining 10% only stayed because customers found returns too much trouble, but they left bad reviews anyway. Aunt Martha stared at the room full of returned, sticky packages, and at the red account frozen warning on her phone. She dropped onto the floor. Then she slapped her thighs and burst into tears. Dear Lord, what are we supposed to do now? We have already sunk thousands into shipping. We have not seen a cent, and now we have to pay compensation, too. This does not make sense. That is not what the internet taught us. Ethan was huddled in the corner, sweat pouring down his face. Gone was the swagger he had shown standing on the old millstone, holding court like he owned the place. Worst of all, because they had repackaged the honey in unsanitary containers, and the temperature had risen during that period. That once premium honey lacked professional sealing and sterilization, and began quietly fermenting inside the plastic barrels. The sweet floral scent that once filled the air began to carry a sour, boozy smell. The Livestream account ban was like a bucket of ice water that completely doused Honeyfield Village's hollow fever. In the village council yard, facing a crowd of beekeepers clutching return shipping slips, all of them frantic with panic, Ethan still stubbornly refused to admit defeat. Everyone, do not panic. The platform banned us because they were jealous of our traffic. If one door closes, another will open. We will stop doing live streams. We will go straight to other buyers. This is premium, raw, mountain honey. Once word gets out, plenty of bosses will fight over it. Ethan, are you sure this will work? We have already sunk thousands into shipping. We cannot afford another mess. Sir, do not worry. I will contact them right now. Ethan pulled out his phone. In front of the whole village, he started calling the numbers he had found online for agricultural product purchasing companies. But what he did not know was this. As early as the second day after I left Honeyfield Village, I had already posted in the State Agricultural Products Trade Association group chat an objective account of what had happened in Honeyfield Village. In supply chains, nothing is more dangerous than an unreliable supplier. So when Ethan made those calls, everyone's response was surprisingly consistent. Hello, is this Mr. Walker? I have a batch of premium raw mountain honey from Honeyfield Village. Honeyfield Village. May Hills Village. Yes, you know it. That is perfect. The batch Mr. Grant refused to take. Right? You people have some nerve. You even dared to stand up, Mr. Grant. I do not want to get dragged into that mess. I still want to work with Mr. Grant. Ethan's expression shifted. Forcing a smile, Ethan told the beekeepers, let us try another one. Manager Lewis, you buy honey in bulk, right? We have 30,000 pounds. What price are you asking? The market price is usually $80. For you, we can do $60. 80. Are you still dreaming? Mr. Grant offered you $38. You refused to sell. Now you want me to be the sucker left holding the bag. The most I can offer is $20. Take it or leave it. 20. Why don't you just rob us? Then keep it and drink it yourselves. Ethan made more than a dozen calls in a row. Some people hung up immediately. Others heard the words Honeyfield Village and started sneering. Some even called them troublemakers. Outright. The harshest one was a buyer who only took low-grade honey for animal feed additives. He laughed loudly over the phone and said, I heard you ran Mr. Grant off. Nice work. But your honey's reputation stinks now. I can take it. At $10 a pound. I don't care if you people have no credibility. After all, I make pig feed. Ethan hurriedly hung up. A deathly silence settled over the entire village council yard. Ethan, is this what you meant by buyers fighting over it? Fight over it. My ass. You useless fool. You are going to ruin the whole village. Sir, this is not my fault. It was Victor Grant. Victor Grant must be behind this. He's blacklisting us. Mr. Grant offered $38. You refused and insisted on selling for $80. Well, look at us now. Now they're offering $10. Pay me back for shipping. My family spent $500 on shipping. We have not seen a single cent. That's right. Pay us back. And what about my family's 2 barrels of honey? They were ruined from all that repackaging. The beekeepers lost control in an instant. The college graduate they had once put on a pedestal had now become everyone's favorite punching bag. Ethan was shoved back and forth until he could barely stand. His once slick hair had turned into a bird's nest. In my office, I listened to the recording my source had sent me. A cold smile tugged at my mouth. That is what it means to cut off your own escape route. The business world has its own rules. When you break those rules for a little short-term gain, those same rules will crush you without mercy. I did not need to blacklist them on purpose. I only needed to state the facts. Then a trust-based system would reject them all on its own. But that was not the beekeeper's deepest despair. If the problem were only that they could not sell it, they could have dumped it at a discount, or kept it and eaten it over time. But heaven seemed to think their lesson had not been harsh enough. Over the next few days, temperatures in the mountain village suddenly surged in a strange way. By noon, it even reached the low 70s Fahrenheit. For honey, that was fatal. The batch had been high quality, but during the live streams, they had repeatedly ladled honey in and out of the sealed barrels, showing it off and repackaging it. For shipping, they used repackaging tools that had not been sterilized. And to make repackaging easier, they did not use the professional sealed lids I had given them. They just covered the barrels with flimsy plastic sheeting. That day, the moment Aunt Martha stepped into the yard, she smelled something strange. It was not floral. It was a sour, boozy smell, like fermenting mash. She rushed over and pulled the plastic sheet off one large barrel. The honey's surface had once been calm, clear, and amber bright. Now it was fizzing, with tiny white bubbles. It kept bubbling and gurgling upward. A harsh, sour stench hit her in the face. It nearly knocked her headfirst into the barrel. Husband, husband, come here, quick. Soon, the whole village was in chaos. It was not just Aunt Martha's home. Nearly every household's honey had gone bad. The beekeepers cried and shouted, staring at their honey as it foamed and turned into sour sludge. They had no idea what to do. Mayor Hill looked across his own yard at those plastic barrels swollen up like balloons. His whole body went limp, and he collapsed to the ground. He grabbed a handful of fermented honey and shoved it into his mouth. He spat it out at once. It is over. It is all over. The honey has fermented. Now forget 38 yuan. Even if we paid someone to haul it away, they would complain. It takes up space. What used to be 30,000 pounds of liquid gold had now become 30,000 pounds of liquid waste that needed disposal. While the whole village faced yards full of sour sludge and wailed as if the sky had fallen, Ethan was carrying a bag, trying to sneak out of the village. For days, he had been hiding at his in-laws' house, too scared to step outside. Now that he saw the honey had gone bad, he knew that if he did not leave, he might be beaten to death. But the beekeepers watching him soon blocked him at the village entrance, trying to run off with that lousy marketing theory of yours. Not a chance. Sell this sour sludge for us. If you cannot sell it, you are not leaving this village today. Please, sirs, everyone. This is a natural disaster. It is force majeure. I did not know the weather would turn hot. I did not know the honey would spoil. You did not know. Mr. Grant brought refrigerated trucks when he came. You were the one who cursed him and drove him away. Mr. Grant gave us sealed barrels. You told us to open them for livestream selling. Pay me back. Pay back my money. I was blind. I believed your damn lies. 打我美元6万. That was my child's school money. Now it has all turned into sour sludge. Give me my money back. Mayor Hill stood outside the crowd, watching the farce unfold. The tobacco pipe, in his hand, had been snapped in two by his bare hands. He looked at the mess scattered across the ground. Suddenly, his mind flashed back to that day, to the look in my eyes when I left. It had not been anger. It had been pity. What a terrible thing we did. Back when Mr. Grant offered $38, how did I lose my mind and think it was too little? That was money handed to us on a silver platter. Now, the money is gone. Our road is gone, and our reputation is ruined. Even family ties have been torn apart. At that moment, all of Honeyfield village was filled with a nauseating sour rot. It was the smell of fermenting honey. It was also the smell of trust rotting away. Meanwhile, in the city over 60 miles away, I was sitting in an upscale restaurant. Across from me sat my new partner from Cloud. Mr. Grant, thank you for trusting us this time. You gave us such a large order. Integrity is worth more than gold. As long as the product is sound and the people are honest, price is not the problem. My phone buzzed. Once, it was a video from my source. In the video, the beekeepers of Honeyfield village were gathered around those barrels of fermented honey, blaming one another. The air was full of sobbing. I glanced at it, swiped past with no expression, and turned off the screen. What is it, Mr. Grant? Nothing. I just watched a comedy that was not funny. But the story did not end there. Only when people are out of options do they remember the very road they once trampled underfoot. I knew they would come soon. That day, I had just finished the morning meeting and was about to return to my office to handle paperwork. Lily at reception rushed in, pale with panic. Boss. Downstairs, ... There is a scene downstairs. A scene. Where is security? Security cannot hold them back. There are too many people. More than 20 of them are holding a banner. Some were kneeling at the entrance, crying. They say they are your villagers, here to apologize and beg forgiveness. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window and looked down. In the plaza below my company building, a group of plainly dressed villagers huddled nervously outside the revolving doors. Ethan, who had once acted like he owned the world, was now being held up by two men. His head hung low. Aunt Martha was kneeling at the very front. She was being held back by security guards. Across the banner, a few red words were written crookedly. On that banner, the red lettering twisted unevenly across the cloth. We came to beg Mr. Grant's forgiveness. Please, Mr. Grant, save Honeyfield Village. I let out a cold laugh. How ironic. Just 1 month ago, at the village entrance, they cursed me as a bloodsucker and a heartless profiteer. They shouted for me to get out of Honeyfield. Now, they had come all this way, to kneel beneath my company building, begging me to be their savior. Boss, should we call the police? No. Let him wait downstairs. Leave him there, for an hour. That 1 hour, for the people downstairs, probably felt more agonizing than a century. The head of security came up to brief me. Aunt Martha had cried herself unconscious twice. As for Ethan Cole, the furious beekeepers had forced him to kneel at the very front. His face was bruised, black and blue. Clearly, he had taken a beating before they arrived. Then I brought my secretary and several executives with me, and slowly walked out of the building. The sealed barrels they had brought were badly sealed. During the bumpy trip, air had gotten inside. That sour, fermented stench spread across the polished plaza of the downtown business district. Passing office workers covered their noses and shot them disgusted looks. They avoided the villages like they were carrying a disease. What had once been their proud liquid gold had now become a mark of shame that kept them from lifting their heads when they saw me appear. A burst of heart-rending cries erupted. Mr. Grant. Mr. Grant. You finally came out. Mr. Grant. We were wrong. We were awful. Mr. Grant. Please, save us. Our whole year's survival depends on you. Mr. Grant, I'm begging you. Before I was blinded by greed, I listened to Ethan Cole, stirring things up. Please, be the bigger man. Please, take this honey. I'm begging you. Aunt Martha scrambled to her feet. She tried to rush over and grab my leg. 2 burly security guards held her back. As she sobbed, she banged her forehead against the granite floor. The thuds rang out, one after another. Mayor Hill shuffled forward, trembling. In his hands, he held a wrinkled, mud-stained contract. It was the very one they had once treated as scrap paper. Mr. Grant, we want to honor the contract now. 30 pound. No, not even 30. 20 pound is enough. As long as you take the honey away. Leave the villagers a way to survive. By then, Ethan Cole was cowering at the back of the crowd. He looked like a frightened little bird. All his old swagger had vanished. I stood on the steps. From above, I looked down at them. Their faces were reddened by the cold wind. Their eyes were full of fear, humiliation, and pleading. I could hardly reconcile them with those greedy, vicious, arrogant faces from a month ago. The 2 images simply would not overlap. But I remembered everything clearly. I remembered Ethan sneering. Only $30? I remembered Aunt Martha saying the contract did not count. I remembered Mayor Hill saying everyone had it hard. Mayor Hill. Now you remember the contract? When I brought my trucks to your village, didn't you say it was scrap paper? Mayor Hill's weathered face flushed a dark, bruised red. The hand holding the contract froze in mid. He was trapped, unable to move forward or back. Mr. Grant, it was all our fault. It was Ethan Cole who ruined us. He lied and said we could sell it for $80 a pound. He doctored screenshots and spread lies. Mr. Grant, we brought him here too. Do whatever you want with him. Just, please, take the honey. Mr. Grant, I was wrong. I didn't know any better. I didn't understand the law. Please, spare me. Ethan Cole lay sprawled on the ground. His whole body shook. He begged for mercy through tears. Watching this farce, I felt nothing but disgust. Enough. Drop the act. You hate Ethan Cole. Not because he lied to you, but because he failed to make you rich. If he had really sold it for $80 a pound that day, would you be kicking him now? You would have put him on a pedestal. Then you would all laugh and call me Victor Grant, the fool. The crowd went dead silent. The exposed beekeepers looked at one another. Then they lowered their heads in shame. I slowly walked down the steps. I stopped before the barrel of honey Aunt Martha had brought. I had paid for that blue plastic barrel myself. The barrel was filthy. Sticky liquid seeped from the edge of the lid. I reached out. Before I even lifted the lid, a sharp, sour stink rushed straight to my head. This is the sincerity you brought me. Do you smell that? This is vinegar, not honey. Mr. Grant, it does smell a little off, but it is still edible. A little processing will fix it. Processing. I make premium food. I do not collect garbage. The yeast levels in this honey are many times over the limit. Even pouring it down the drain would feel like polluting the environment, and you want me to take it. We can drop it to $10 a pound. Just $10 is fine. Enough to cover our hard work. Mayor Hill, do you still not understand? This is not about money. Back when I repaired the road, when I spent tens of thousands on those beehives, when I brought $1 million in cash and a convoy into your village, the high price I offered, $38 a pound, was my sincerity. It was my trust. But you threw my trust on the ground and trampled it. then you spat on it for good measure. Now that trust is shattered. It cannot be pieced back together. Never mind that this honey is spoiled, even if it were nectar fit for the gods. I still would not take it, because the name Honeyfield Village, in my eyes, and across the entire agricultural products industry, is already ruined. Mr. Grant, you cannot just watch us die. You built that road. You cannot abandon us. Yes, I built the road. I built it. But I never imagined that, once the road was finished, it would not bring prosperity in. Instead, it let the greed inside your hearts crawl out into the open. So keep that road and walk it yourselves. Whether you make it out depends on your own fate. I turned and walked back toward the building. Behind me came a wave of shrill, desperate wailing. The security guards formed a human wall. They held the villagers firmly outside. I was unmoved. My steps did not pause for even a second. I knew I seemed cold-blooded in that moment, but I knew something even more clearly. Mercy, to oath-breakers, is cruelty to those who keep their word. Back in my office, I stood before the huge floor-to-ceiling window. I watched them leave, like beaten dogs, carrying a truckload of sour stinking regret, until they disappeared from my sight. On my desk sat a freshly made cup of honey water. It was fresh honey from Southvale Base. Its color was golden, rich, and bright. A warm fragrance rose from it. I lifted the cup and drank. It was sweet. That was the taste of a promise kept. As for the people of Honeyfield Village, they were doomed, for the rest of their lives, to swallow the bitter fruit of their own making, and that taste would be more bitter than poison.